All right. Hey, class, we're in market structures now. And with market structures, if you've had any econ 210, 211, even high school, you should have an understanding what market structures are. And we're talking about the type of economy that exists, whether it's a monopoly, perfect competition, monopolistic competition, or oligopoly. But we go from perfect competition all the way to the other range of monopoly. So we're going to look at this real quick here. Market structures are determined by the different characteristics, and there's three: the number of buyers and sellers. So who has the most sellers, the most buyers? What does it have? Does it have one? Does it have 50? Does it have 100? We look at a sports or entertainment industry. Look at the entertainment industry as a whole. Are there a lot of buyers and sellers in the entertainment? Roller skating, bowling, athletic events, parks, music parks, those types of things. There's a lot. So there's a lot of numbers. There's a lot of buyers and sellers in those areas. Now, when we look at just major pro, and if we take an individual market like Indianapolis, there's one major pro football team. There's one major pro basketball team. And even if you look at a city like LA or New York, where New York has two baseball, two football, one basketball. Technically, if you consider Long Island, which if you ever go to Long Island, don't tell them they're from New York City, they go crazy. They have two hockey teams in LA. They have Anaheim and LA, same type of situation. So when we look at those, then there's not many number of sellers of professional sports, but there's a lot of buyers. The type of product, what is it? Is it something that's a niche market versus something that everybody uses? T-shirts versus diamond rings, those types of things. So also on top of that, the third one here, ease of entry and exit in the market. Can you get into it easily? Oh, can you open a restaurant today? Yeah, you could. Could you start a professional sports franchise? There's a barrier of entry there, not just with funding, but also the league. The league has to approve you into these things, whether it's single A, semi-pro, all the way up through the top tier minors through the major leagues. So there is some barrier to entry there beyond just finance. Number of teams that are allowed in it. So there's only so many opportunities, and versus where if you would open a restaurant, a clothing store, those types of areas, there's an ease of entry into it. The cost is lesser. You don't have to have permission from a certain individual or entity to do that. So perfect competition has a lot of buyers and sellers. The type of product is way more available and people want it. And then the ease and entry of a market and perfect competition, it's way more easy to get in and out of. Or monopoly, hard to get into, expensive, regulation, limited number of buyers, maybe a lot of buyers, but not many sellers, and the type of product. So profit maximization example here. We look at this, so go through the columns. Output, it talks about a price less than or greater than or less than 650. The total revenue is zero. So that price there, less than 650, they're making zero revenue. Then the marginal revenue. Marginal revenue, remember, marginal means the addition of one. So at zero, from zero to zero, there's no additional marginal revenue going from zero to none. So that's why that's blank here. There is no addition. And then the total cost. This cost, how is there still a cost if there is nothing output? Well, it's called a fixed cost. It's a cost that you're incurred regardless of the amount of output you have. So Alina leases, whether a team plays or not, they have the lease on that. Whether they play, they may put most major league sports pay on a monthly, annual type basis, not on a number of games. Minor league sports, you have a number of games, but it's still a fixed cost because no matter the number of attendance, you still pay the cost. And then marginal cost, again, addition of one additional output, increase the cost. So at zero, they have a profit of negative 300, meaning that they do nothing, they still owe $300. They cost them that based on their fixed cost. I'm going to put these back on. I know there's a light glare, but my screen's kind of small, so I want to be able to read this perfectly. But remember, we're going to look where maximize revenue, where maximum revenue or a marginal revenue equals marginal cost, right? So that's why this fifth line is highlighted. And we look here, notice five units of output, marginal revenue equals 250. which is greater than marginal cost. But at 6, marginal revenue is 150 and marginal cost is 250. So to go from 5 to 6 actually cost us more. We make less because our marginal revenue, although our total revenue is higher, our marginal revenue, so that addition of one more has an additional revenue of only 150, but our additional cost is 250. So that means our profit would be down. Now, although we're making profit, we have a point where addition of one is too much. Remember that beer example I talked about in another lecture? That additional beer is not worth it, okay? Same example here and here. Perfect competition. So there's many buyers, many sellers. Homogeneous product means plenty of substitutes. If it's jeans, you can buy Lucky Brand, Armani, Sassoon, Levi, Silver. Just go down the list. I mean, there's hundreds of brands. Some you've never even heard of, and some that are more popular than others. So what this basically means, a perfect and it's easy to get in and out of. I mean, look at the t-shirt apparel company. How many at-home moms are making t-shirts with their crickets now? The hockey jersey market's flooded with individual people because it's easy to get in and out of. In perfect competition, each producer is too small to affect prices. So who makes the price then? Is it the market or the seller? Well, the buyers make the price in perfect competition because there's so many competitors, they can't affect the price enough to make a difference on the total market. So the competitor takes market price as given, okay? It represents their marginal revenue. So price equals marginal revenue, okay? In perfect competition, price equals marginal revenue because, again, they're too small. They don't have enough of an impact. Yeah, we can say, okay, well, Nike's a huge company. Yeah, it is. But if they started charging $300 for their dry fit shirts, is everybody else going to charge $300? No. But if they only charge $10, is everybody else going to charge $10? No. There's too many competitors in that market that makes it perfect competition. Although we may think Nike's number one, or Under Armour, Adidas, or Puma, whatever your company is, Lululemon, they can't have enough of effect on the price, okay? So when we look at these graphs here, we have our marginal revenue right here, and this is our marginal cost. As you can see, marginal cost starts to increase. It goes down at first, because at first, the addition of one is taking that fixed cost and dividing it over more. So at $300, our cost per input item was 3. So from 0 to 1, we had a marginal cost of $400. Why? Because this $300 is then divided by 1, not just 0. And then we go to 2. Now that $300 cost is also spread out in this area. Now it's divided over 2 items. Plus, each additional item has a variable cost, the cost of production, labor, whatever that cost may be. That is increased, where we can see for to make one, it costs us $400. Our marginal cost costs $400. That really is a variable cost of $400. And then our marginal cost from to 2 means that our marginal cost is $200 additional. Okay, again, this isn't talking about total cost. That's this line, $900 to make 2. So if we take our $300 fixed cost out, that means that we have $600. Well, that's $300 each in variable cost, okay? So again, back to this, marginal cost is going to go down until it starts to increase, because the fixed cost is now spread over so many items that its impact isn't as great when we're talking about the variable cost increasing. So really, this marginal cost will start increasing once variable cost does. And we can see that here, variable cost is going down, and as we create more, it starts to increase. And marginal cost, where it equals marginal revenue. Remember, that's where we want to hit our profit maximization. And right here is that point. Our economic product is the area here. And the reason it's here is average total cost. So that's variable plus fixed. Okay. So total cost is your variable plus your fixed equal total cost. Variable plus fixed total. And then the average is divided by how many items you produce. Okay. So average total cost will be higher than average variable. at this point, because again, this is including that fixed cost. See the gap change. It's really large here and starts to decrease. The economic profit is from your marginal revenue down to your marginal average or your marginal revenue to your average total cost, and then over to the x-axis or the y-axis. That is the economic profit. Okay. Long run equilibrium. Things are always different in the long run versus short run. Usually it's better in the long run. Price doesn't really change long run supply or pricing. All right, we're talking monopolies. One seller, unique product. So there's a company called De Beers. No, it's not the Bears like Chicago Bears. It's called De Beers. They own 92% plus of the diamond market in the world. They're a monopoly. It's hard to get into. One of their trucks alone that has 8 tires on it, one tire is $14,000. So there's the economic barrier. There's also the barrier to entry of finding diamonds. You have to be able to find them, and they own 92% of the mine. So they are a monopoly. Barriers to entry, patents. You can't just start creating EpiPens. There's a patent for that. So a patent will be a barrier of entry. Control of key inputs. Again, we talk the diamond company. There's only so many diamond mines, and if they own 92%, how are you going to get into that? Economies of scale. Is there money to be made? Can you grow the company? Does the economics support it? Profits can be maintained in the long run as long as barriers to entry exist. So problem with patents is they run out. And I say problem, that is on the obviously the person who owns the patent, the person, sometimes the consumer and the competition like that the patents run out because then they can get in. Hence generic drugs from the drugstore. So as long as that barrier to entry exists of one of these 4, they'll maintain their profits in the long run. Now, it's a single producer of a unique product. Why do they own 92% but they're considered monopoly? Because they control pricing, they control everything. Pricing, distribution, every aspect of the business, they really can control. They can put out their competitors very easily by taking the price and then absorbing those competitors. It's something that we've seen done by other people in the United States, like in the early times. When I say early times, the late 1800s, and Carnegie and Rockefeller and some of them. The Anti-Sherman Trust Act was developed to prevent monopolies. So in this, remember, marginal revenue curve also slopes down and lies below demand, which means marginal revenue is less than price. So here's our marginal revenue. Here's our demand. That means that they're going to charge more than what to be demanded. So at 60, they're only going to output 2. But in the market wants about 3 to 3.1. They're not going to do that because they can set the price much greater and higher if they like. So monopoly, should the team sell out? Yeah, they should sell out. MR equals MC at capacity. For a monopoly, their marginal revenue equals their marginal cost at capacity. Okay. So yeah, they should sell out. In a monopoly, the market doesn't dictate the price. The seller does. The seller decides what it wants to do because if you want it, you're going to have to pay for it. They're the only ones that produce it. Real quick again, about fixed cost. If a team resigns its own player for a much larger salary than it is currently getting, should it raise ticket prices? Recall, ticket prices are determined at the intersection of MC and MR. If salaries rise, does MC of tickets rise? What do you guys think? Does it rise? Well, salaries are fixed costs, so no, it doesn't change marginal cost. Because whether that player plays 20 games or 82 games, like we see in the NBA, they're paid the same amount. So they are a fixed cost. And when a new player, maybe a star, is signed, demand for that team's ticket goes up. So their ticket prices are going to go up. Demand goes up, price is going to go up. They can charge that higher price. Okay. So here's the thing. You got to remember, when people talk about getting these players, they should get this guy. Well, if the team's already got enough wins, what is that additional player going to do? Are they going to increase the number of wins? Are they going to do enough like that? But why do we pick up as many players as we can? Because we can charge more if we'd like. Not because we have to, because we'd like to. So when a team has a monopoly, they can charge what they want. So if you're the Chicago Bulls, you're the only NBA team in Chicago, in Illinois. The closest teams are obviously Milwaukee, Indianapolis, and then probably Detroit. But you can charge what you want. So your price is going to be greater than marginal cost. Okay. So we talked about impact on costs and whatnot. So market structure is pretty simple. Again, perfect competition, many buyers and sellers. A lot of people offer the product. It's easy to get in and out of that market. Whereas a monopoly is the furthest extreme from that, and there's one buyer and sell one buyer or one seller. I'm sorry, one seller. They make the price. They own everything. If you want it, you're going to pay for what they charge you. So this pretty much sums up market structures. I appreciate you guys again this week. I know it's been a bit of a mess, but next week we will be all good and come out flying with flying colors. I appreciate you guys a lot. And if you got questions, let me know. Have a great day.